It's good to be back. I sent a picture to my group chat today, but I didn't tell you. This last month, I've met Shaq. I met Charles Barkley in Arizona. Did I tell you about that?
Yes.
And I met Mike Tyson today.
Mike Tyson. I knew it.
How'd you know?
Tyler sent a picture of his dad and Mike Tyson standing there, like, shaking hands. So
Yeah.
I figured that's who it was going to be when you said you met somebody. But yeah, that's awesome. Mike Tyson, what was he like? Was the lisp as real in person as it is in the videos?
I just said, "What's up, boss?" That was it.
Hell yeah. What did he say?
Just hello, like real quick. I wasn't trying to be like overbearing or anything. I just said,
he was there for like trying to vouch for weed or something like that, like trying to get a weed bill passed.
Your question was that Mike Tyson is just like a weed advocate and is trying to get it legalized in the state of Pennsylvania because he has a big brand.
I knew he had a big brand, so he can just go in. So he just goes in and is like, "Yeah, this is how it helps me. This is why it's good." But he has no like actual political input.
No, I mean he has lobbyists.
No, okay, I'm saying like he has them do it for him. He doesn't have like any. He's not like a political figure of any kind, is what I'm.
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he recently picked that up or not.
No, he's just advocating for the use of legalized marijuana in the state of Pennsylvania and I guess other places too.
Honestly, I thought it was legal. So
you thought weed was legal in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, you would think it's legal based how it is in Philadelphia.
Based on how you smoke.
Yeah, all the
time. Dude, I think we gotta address the elephant in the room because I had something crazy happen to me yesterday.
All right, hit me.
Well, I feel like a woman that I like loosely talk to, she's I'd say I'd like outkicked my coverage on it. Like I think she's decent looking. Like, is that fair?
Yes, that is fair.
She like me and her like kind of talk, but not anything crazy. She texted me and she may or may not her occupation may or may not be OnlyFans. So, which is there's nothing wrong with. I'm progressive. I believe in women's rights, the whole nine.
Her money's green or blue too.
Exactly. And she texted me and she's like, "What are you doing on this date?" And I said, "Whatever you want," as like a joke. Not like as a joke, but you know, I was
not expecting the follow up.
I was playing the game.
Be what it was. Right.
I was playing the game. Sue me.
Yes.
And next thing I know, she's like, "Okay, perfect. Like, I found a crazy deal on a cruise, and I want to go. Are you gonna come with? Are you gonna make me go alone? Or are you gonna come with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." She's like, "Send me a picture of your ID, and I'll book it for us." And I was like, I sent a picture of it in my defense, so like I can't like act shocked.
No, you can't. That's the
great idea for everybody out there to send a picture of your ID to a girl that you like loosely talk to.
So that's like step one on getting scammed. So
yeah.
But I was gonna say you have no like at this point you have no defense because you actually had to provide her with that important information in order for her to book said ticket. And if I am her and the guy that I'm reaching out to is sending me that,
you'd be reaching out to a guy.
If I was her, if I was a girl.
Okay. Sorry, I was just listening. My bad.
Not very well. I made that clear to say if I was her.
Yeah.
And a guy sent me that information, I would take that as he's dead ass about going on this trip.
Well, yeah, for sure.
So you're dead ass about going now, brother.
So whatever, like some time passes and she like books like the cruise itself. And I was like, all right, I can still get out of it at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
kind of like like it's
kind of.
Yeah, like whatever. And then
how long is it?
3 days.
Oh, see, I this never came up. Neither me nor Brady asked you about this at the time, so I was just assuming that it was a week long. Yeah, I thought it was just a week. I thought it was a week long, which is also what, like, that was what I was gonna like ask you after. I was like, what's the longest you've hung out with this girl? Because my follow up was gonna be like, oh well, how long are you gonna be with her? Right. So if you were gonna go, if you were hanging out with her for a few hours max, and then your next step was a week-long cruise, that's a big step.
Normal. That's normal.
Yeah. 3 days isn't bad.
So then I'm like, so she's like, book your flight, like kept texting me, like, and I was like, yeah, like I have a few work dinners tonight, like I'll get to it when I get home. Then I'm actually walking to a work dinner, and I look down at my phone. She texts me a screenshot of a flight paid for. It's like, I paid for your flight too, don't worry about it. I sent you guys the screenshot. Am I capping?
You are not capping. You did send the screenshot.
I guess I get one. Do I go? Two, I've told like a few people about the. Well, I told my boss, obviously, and he was fired.
I feel like you have to go.
He was fired. You do think I have to?
I think you have to go. If it was a week long, I would be way more skeptical of this, because that would kind of suck to have to say like something went wrong and you're just stuck in the middle of the ocean on a boat with this girl who you've hung out with loosely for 3 to 4 hours max. 3 days, you can power through 3 days.
Yeah. So we're flying
I think a week is a long time, but I think you got to go. Yeah.
We're flying out together from Philly.
Okay.
Miami. Like, it's just the dumbest shit ever. Like I just don't know. I don't want to go, but I feel like based on who I am and the person who I say I am, I feel like I have to.
You have to go. She paid for everything, and it's 3 days. You get to go on a nice little 3 day, a little calm 3 day vacation.
And I feel like if I were to back out, it would be like I would never hear the end from anybody.
Yeah, 100%. Now that you put it on tape.
But I do that on purpose. I do that. I that's why, like, when I went skydiving, like, that's the reason.
It's so you force yourself to do it.
Like, if I didn't go skydiving the one day, everybody would be like, "Wow, dude, you actually didn't go." It's like, well, I was scared. Like, I can't
because, well, to be fair, you more than anybody will follow through on anything. So you did say the one day you were like, I want to go skydiving. We all called you crazy. You did it anyways. I think skydiving might be more intense than a 3 day all expenses paid vacation
with a like a pretty hot like OnlyFans model.
Yeah, I think I think there's worse scenarios that you could put yourself in.
I just think that I don't know. I definitely have. I feel like, though, like, who I am and everything that I've done, like, in my life thus far, like, I just feel like it's my duty as the guy who just creates all of the content for the group chats.
You have to do it. Yeah.
So
you have no choice at this point. It's all paid. You didn't spend a dime.
I don't plan on spending a dime either.
She's like, everything's
paid out. She's like, everything's paid for, like food, drinks, like everything apparently. Like, and the ticket for the cruise is like $320 or something.
Oh, that's not bad. What cruise line is it?
The nice one, like the big guy.
It's like Caribbean and Royal Caribbean and Carnival are like the two big ones. Yeah.
So this is, I guess, it's my first time.
And you get to get out of the cold of the Northeast for a little bit.
Well,
for 3 days.
I just got back from Arizona. I wanted to hang out for like 2 months before I did anything else. Now I have to go to
See
fucking
that?
Now I have to go to the Bahamas. I live such a
Don't
rough
say
life.
it. Don't say it. Yeah, don't say it like it's a bad thing.
So that's
You
just
did get the Bahamas though the second you stepped in your crib today.
that is true. That is true.
So you're
It
prepping.
I was prepping. I walked into my house. It was 175 degrees today. I was in full panic. I literally took all my clothes off immediately and started to try to turn off the heater because it was that hot. Like I was like concerned. I was like, if I have to sleep in here tonight, like I'm cooked. Like there's no way.
Yeah, you would die.
Yeah. Oh, I would have had to get a hotel. So
100%.
that's it. That's what's going on in my life. I do want to start out with something because I think probably the most intriguing team right now in the NFL. You have to sit here and say it's the New England Patriots. The way that Drake May is playing and has elevated his game has just been eye-popping in every sense of the imagination. The Mike Vrabel hire was an absolute home run hire. Everybody said that the second that he got fired from the Tennessee Titans, they were like, why the heck did the Tennessee Titans fire Mike Vrabel? That makes zero sense. Then, obviously, they cut ties to Gerard Mayo. He gets to the right spot. And then some question marks that you had about Josh McDaniels going into this season. And I really died on that hill. I was like fighting hard for Josh McDaniels just because there's not many offensive coordinators that come with a certain type of pedigree the way that Josh McDaniels does. And I feel like that he's impacted Drake May's game in a very positive manner in year 2 so far. What do you think of all of that? What I just said?
Yeah, I think that he has done a better job than I expected. But I also just think Drake May's like that freaking good. Like he's one of the best.
So you don't give Josh McDaniels credit when
I just said that. I think he's doing better than I expected.
The best ever. And now
I just said he's doing better than I expected.
Okay. Say he's one of the best in the league. He's one of the best offensive play callers in the league.
No, I will not say that. I will not say that.
Hey, well,
I'll not go that far.
When they go to the AFC Championship this year, you need to say that. But we have the trade deadline looming, and there are now official rumblings of a potential Breece Hall trade. Breece Hall has a ton of buzz around him on where he could potentially go next. And the one team that I feel like when you look across the league in the NFL, there's pretty much 2 teams that make sense. It's like the Kansas City Chiefs and I think the New England Patriots, where obviously the New England Patriots have Ramondre Stevenson, but Ramondre Stevenson isn't a world beater by any stretch of the imagination. They take who was the running back they took in the top of the draft? TreVeyon Henderson in the top of the second round. He hasn't panned out the way that that everybody thought he would going into the season, but I still think that he'll be a valuable offensive piece for them. And you look at what the Patriots have on their table. If on the table, they go and they trade for Breece Hall. If you are going to trade for Breece Hall at this point, he's on his last year of his 5th-year option. So he would be up for a contract after this year. And I look at a team who is most constructed to trade for Breece Hall and then be in a position to pay him long-term right after this season and be a part of the future. And I think the Patriots fit the mold for that 100%. The Patriots have $77 million in cap space in 2026. It's like 5th most, I think. And if he does get traded, like I said, I'm sitting here thinking like he would probably get a deal. Like I think of like Swift, Kyron Williams, James Cook got 4 years, $46 million, so 11.5 per year.
I think he'd get he would probably get a right around that, even though I don't think he's as good as some of those guys. I think he's good, but I think
he's shown flashes.
James Cook has been better than him for sure. The other guys you named were Swift, and who was the other one?
Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I would put him in that category. I think he's better than Swift.
I think he's better than Kyron too.
I was gonna say I think it's pick your poison with Kyron Williams and
His
Breece Hall.
flashes though, when he flashes, it's like
They're
okay,
great.
this guy could be one of the best in the league. He's
I agree
24
with
years
that.
old. He's 2 years off of this knee injury now at this point. Like if
Throws a
somebody
great jump ball.
yeah, throws a great jump ball, and I think that makes a ton of sense. And one, what do you like that fit? Do you like the
Yes.
New England Patriots fit with Breece Hall, or is there another team that you think would make sense for a potential Breece Hall fit?
I mean, I hate Ramondre Stevenson probably since day one. I just don't think he's that special of a running back, and I've been hoping that they would give Travion Henderson more touches, but that has yet to be the case at this point in the year. I think if you add Breece Hall to that backfield, it becomes immensely better. Breece Hall, like you said, the flashes that he's shown when he's playing at the highest like that high level, he's a top 10 running back in the NFL. I think it just hasn't been consistent enough, and I think some of that is just because of the offense as a whole that he's kind of stuck in. Like they just don't have guys, and their offense is not good. So I think if you get him in a more consistent offense with a quarterback that is actually talented, I think he'll pop off. So I do like that. I like that a lot. I'm trying to just look around here and see kind of what other teams he might work out on. I mean, I don't think I think they could benefit from a guy like Breece Hall, even though this running back has been okay. I think he could work out on the Texans, but that offensive line is really brutal. I
I
don't
don't think it
necessarily
makes
love the
sense money
Texans.
wise.
I don't love the Texans like running back room. I'm talking just strictly like teams that I don't like their running back rooms. The Texans fall into that category for me. But that big thing is the money piece of it, right? He's gonna want a contract. And I agree with you. I don't think it works monetarily for the Texans, but I think he would work in that offense.
I
The thing to consider is, are the Jets going to trade to the Patriots to help them out and improve them?
probably.
You think?
Yeah.
Because we see all the time that teams don't want to trade amongst their division for that exact reason.
I don't think it matters that much.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. But the Jets'
situation
ownership is
where,
bad.
Well, that would be their GM's office. So I would have to worry about that. So
Yeah, I know. I'm just
you just
throwing
look at
that
where
out
they're
there.
at, like in this situation, like 1-7, he's clearly available. Like
Yeah.
the only other team that has been thrown out that makes sense, which for on paper, but I don't think makes sense at all, was the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know why if the Arizona Cardinals traded for Breece Hall, I'm like think I'm like officially out on the Arizona Cardinals, like in totality, like because that move just makes it just they have so many issues on that team, like top down, like going and trading for like Breece Hall in a season where you're 2-5 at the bye, like I just don't love that.
The biggest thing that comes with this is likely the contract piece of it and the extension that whoever he gets traded to, like if I'm that team, I would want to be the team that is comfortable with giving him an extension because I wouldn't just want to trade for him for 10 games. So it has to make sense monetarily first and foremost.
And that's where I think that the Patriots situation makes sense because Breece Hall's agent and him are probably like, well, where am I going to resign? I could see him wanting to resign in New England. It looks like their future is really bright. The Cardinals, on the other hand, like people are talking about Kyler potentially not being a quarterback next season, the whole nine. And the last thing too with the potential Cardinals move is just like the Cardinals are like always like in like on all these big time players. They were in on Micah Parsons, like they were in on all these dudes, and they never actually cough up the value to bring somebody big in. So I don't see how they would go and grab like a hot young running back in the middle of the season, right before the trade deadline, because I just don't think that they'll cough up the necessary value to be able to get him back in a trade.
If I'm the Cardinals, I think at this point I would just want to hold on to as much, as much draft capital as possible.
Yeah.
This was a season that you and I both thought that they would be better than what they are, and if it continues to trend this way, and yes, they've had a ton of injuries, which that's not their fault, but I would just want to have as much draft capital as I possibly could as what could potentially be the end of the Kyler Murray era in Arizona.
Yeah, and it seems like you would want all of your picks in a scenario like that.
Yeah, the last thing that you want to do is get stuck in a rebuild where one of your most expensive players is a running back.
Well, that would be Breece Hall would be back on the Jets then at that point.
Correct.
In nicer weather.
Exactly.
But to round this back into the Patriots, because there's one more like fantasy scenario that I have for the Patriots. This would obviously be the 2026 season, but since we talked about Breece and the potential re-up, I think George Pickens right now, he's top 5 in receiving yards. He has 6 touchdowns on the season. He looks absolutely incredible every single week. Even since CD has come back, he put up, I think, like 70 and 80 yards in each respective game. He's just playing so well. He's just looking more complete as a wide receiver week in and week out. And I think this Dallas transition has just been like one of the best moves that could have ever possibly happened in his career. And then on top of it, Dallas is in a situation right now where they're not going to pay. Right now, I know this might be a hot take. I think if Pickens continues to play like this, I think there's a real shot that he could potentially reset the market. Do you think that that's an outlandish statement that that would be a ton of money? That would be the $161+ million like a Jamar Chase got. But I'm sitting here thinking if he finishes top 5 in receiving yards throughout the course of a season as a number 2, quote unquote, option in Dallas, you got to look at a team who really needs that number 1 wide receiver. And I'm talking the Patriots here. The Patriots have this cap space. They have the infrastructure. They have the rookie. They have the quarterback on the rookie deal. Do you think that it could be a possibility that George Pickens could potentially reset the wide receiver market if he continues to play at this level for the rest of the season?
I think that's absolutely a possibility. I'm just trying to look up the free agent wide receivers this upcoming offseason, but the pace that George Pickens is on thus far in the season has been wide receiver 1 numbers, which we both were all over during this offseason. He's 11th in receptions with 43. He has 685 yards, which is 3rd, and 6 touchdowns, which is tied for 3rd in the NFL.
This upcoming class has Mike Evans. This free agency class, it's Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Alan Lazard, Tutu Atwell, Marquise Brown, Jawan Jennings, D-Hop, Greg Dortch, Keenan Allen. I mean, this is not an impressive list of names here. Like Braxton Berrios, Sterling Shepard. If you look at this list currently, George Pickens is 24 years old. He's probably the youngest on this list by far, and he's outperforming that. You can go scroll down this entire list right here. He's by far the best name on this list. He's the hottest free agent at the wide receiver position this offseason by a long shot.
He is the 3rd youngest in this upcoming free agent wide receiver class, and he absolutely clears everybody else that I'm looking at on this list. And it's really not close. He is wide receiver 1 material, and I mean, Mike Evans obviously is good, but the conversation we're having here is not a Mike Evans conversation. It's a young free agent wide receiver, and Pickens is by far the best one on this list. So I look at it as certainly a possibility. I think that he's proven in Dallas with a competent quarterback that he's more than able to go out there and put up wide receiver one numbers. I think if you add him to an offense that's led by Drake May, I mean, they'll end up having complementary wide receivers and decent skill position players, I'm sure. But I think he would fit in seamlessly, and I think he would have a massive impact in New England. But to answer your ultimate question is yes, I think he could reset this market. We don't know what type of extensions wide receivers will end up complaining about when this offseason's over or when this season's over. But going into it, he's primed to get a gigantic deal this offseason.
Yeah, I even looked at it in case if you said that he wasn't going to reset the market, because I think that would take a lot. I think it's possible, but I think it would take a lot. I automatically look at like the DK Metcalf and Garrett Wilson deals. DK Metcalf is 4 years, 132 million. Garrett Wilson is 4 years, 130 million. I feel like he's better than both those guys personally, but I feel like if you wanted to make the argument that he was like on that same sort of level playing field, I think that's probably fair. And then when you gear that up for just hyper specific on the Patriots in this scenario, like you still have if you paid him the James Cook deal, Breece Hall, and paid him 4 years, 46 million, $11.5 million a year, and then gave him the DK Metcalf deal at 132 million, you still have $34 million in cap space to work with, even just solidifying two 24-year-old, a running back and a wide receiver with a quarterback on a rookie deal. I just feel like that is like I'm obviously fantasy booking in this scenario, like pretty heavy, but that fires me up, honestly, more than anything.
Yeah. And I'd love to actually see, I mean, we've seen George Pickens in a good offense this entire season, but I'd love to actually see Breece Hall with some actual structure around him, because we've seen the flashes. He can be really freaking good, but the consistency just has not been there. And I think the infrastructure around him's just been really bad his entire NFL career. And that's a guy that is a 3-down back and can go be elite somewhere if given the right opportunity.
I completely agree. Hey, complete fantasy booking there on my end. I'm sorry. I saw Breece Hall was going to get traded, and it I don't know, my mind started like churning. I was like, man, that would be like, if that's how the offseason played out for the Patriots, that would be sick.
A+ for them. But let me just pull up some of Breece Hall's numbers thus far. Obviously, the Jets are on a bye this week, but from the fantasy perspective, he's the 11th ranked running back in fantasy in my league. He's averaging 14 fantasy points, but it's like he's had 4 big games, and the rest have been mediocre. But I mean, we just saw what he did against Cincinnati last week. 3 touchdowns. Week 1, he had 17.5 against Pittsburgh. Back-to-back weeks against Miami and Dallas. Now, to be fair, those are 2 more really bad defenses. So he's doing it. The numbers that he's been putting up at his highest have been against bad defenses, but in his defense, they can't throw the football at all, and they also can't block in New York. So I don't really know how anybody expects him to put up to be that successful.
I completely agree. To move on a little bit here, and I hate talking MVP because it just feels like it drastically changes on a week to week basis. It just depends, but this ropes into 2 scenarios here, because I'm thinking of 2 things when I'm thinking about the MVP conversation. You probably feel the same way. I think the Patrick Mahomes leading the pack makes complete sense. He's playing absolutely incredible. He throws for 4 touchdowns every single week. The Chiefs are humming. The offense looks great. I would push back on the Josh Allen at the number 2 spot currently, just because he hasn't really been having that great of a year. I would probably have Drake May there. And then in the 3rd position, who I would have on this, and then probably 4th right after that, I would have to sit here and put Jonathan Taylor at 3. And I would have to put Daniel Jones at 4. The Colts right now are sitting at 7-1. Every single their only loss on the season was that dumbass leverage call against the Broncos, which ended up ultimately no that they won that game against the Broncos.
They did win that game because the leverage call
call.
happened. They had to kick
Who
it
did they
again,
lose
and he
to?
missed it.
Who'd they lose to? They lost to the Rams. Excuse me. No shame in that, I guess. But
No.
you look at what they do each week. Look at this: 33 points, 29 points, 41 points, 40 points, 31 points, 38 points, 38 points. If you were to look at me before the season started, and I'm pissed that we didn't do it because we were this close.
We were.
We were
really
this close from pulling the trigger on the Colts. We sat there. We went over the entire operation of the Indianapolis Colts, and we were like, damn, like, are they the breakout candidate team for this upcoming season to go worst to first? And we were like, I like the idea of it, but if we are sitting here having to rely on the health of Daniel Jones, which over the last like 4 seasons, he's had like neck injuries, knee injuries, the whole nine, seems like he actually got the necessary time off to completely get fully healthy. And Shane Steichen is completely off the hot seat, obviously. And Shane Steichen, Daniel Jones, and Jonathan Taylor are like a match made in heaven, and they are absolutely dominating every single week. So my question for you is, how serious are you taking the Indianapolis Colts right now? And why isn't Jonathan Taylor the lead? I know that it's a quarterback award, but at some point we have to sit here and acknowledge the fact that Jonathan Taylor is like the runaway MVP at this point.
I want to go back to the Mahomes thing. I was shaking my head because I'm just sick and tired. Like, yes, he's playing well, and no matter what, it feels like if the Colts win like 3 games, or not the Colts, the Chiefs win like 3 games in a row, I feel like just the default thing is, Mahomes jumps into number 1 at the MVP, regardless of how he's even playing. Because last year, I'm sure there was points where his odds to win MVP were in the top 3, and it was like one of his worst years statistically. So that he's, no matter, unless they are actually terrible and he is hurt or something, Mahomes is always going to be in the top 5 for MVP. I agree with you on the Josh Allen thing. I think that it's probably, I think that Drake May should be second in MVP odds. He's just been playing out of his mind. The Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones piece of this, I hate that it's just a quarterback award at this point. It's MVPs for quarterbacks, offensive player of the years for the rest of the offense. But if you take Jonathan Taylor off this Colts team, they are not even, I don't even think the same, even close to the same team. And I don't really know if there's probably 1 or 2 running backs that you could put in his place that you are still an above 500 team if you're the Colts, but I don't think that they're having the same success without Jonathan Taylor. On to Daniel Jones. The health was the biggest issue, like you mentioned, and we talked about coming into this season. And I think that that's completely fair that we were skeptical of it because he has not been healthy. We did talk about, I remember we talked about at one point, we were like, what if he plays at the level that he played for that Giants team when they made the playoffs? Was that a possibility? And I think we did say yes, but we just never trusted the health. And I think he's playing even better than that year that he led the Giants to the playoffs. So like, kudos to Daniel Jones. I think he deserves more discussion in this conversation. Currently on FanDuel, he sits at plus 2,000, and the people that are tied with him or above are currently tied with Baker and Jalen at plus 2,000. But behind Jared Goff, don't get that. Behind Jordan Love's numbers have been good, and the Packers are a good team, but I think that Daniel Jones has been playing better football than Jordan Love at this
I mean,
point.
their offense is there's what no matter what you're saying right now, undoubtedly they're the number one scoring offense in the NFL. Continue.
Yeah. And then the other guy is Matt Stafford. And yes, Matt Stafford has the head-to-head win, but I think you just have to give more credit to Daniel Jones. I don't think he should be ranked ahead of Jonathan Taylor because what we're seeing from Jonathan Taylor through 7 games is absolutely unheard of. He's got how many touchdowns already? Let me pull his stats up. Yeah, 143 carries, 850 yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns.
He has 14 total touchdowns on the season.
14 total touchdowns. I mean, through 7 games, that's unheard of. And the fact that he's not even in the top, I think he should be ahead of Josh Allen, like you said. He's the most important player on the best offense in the NFL.
Well, yeah. I mean, what else is there to really say? As we were sitting here, I just pulled up because I know Christian McCaffrey is having a great season as well. Obviously, he's putting up a ton of output. He has 196 touches. Jonathan Taylor has 168 touches. On 28 less touches, he has more all-purpose yards than Christian McCaffrey, and he has 14 touchdowns to his 6 touchdowns on the season. So on 28 less touches, he's more efficient, not by a ton. It's 1,056 yards to 1,049. But I mean, on 28 less touches, to be more efficient and to have 14 touchdowns to his 6 on top of that as well, just goes to show you how crazy of a season Jonathan Taylor's had.
The last 4 weeks, Jonathan Taylor has had 9 touchdowns.
It's insane.
That's disgusting. That's a fantasy darling right there. That is what you go to bed dreaming of if you are a fantasy owner of Jonathan Taylor coming into this season. It's like, hopefully he can get back to what was the year that he had we were just talking about. Yeah. You go to bed hoping maybe we can get him back to that exact output, but he's just been playing at a different level right now. It'll be awesome. Hopefully if he can carry it out, because if he does, I mean, he'll have fucking 30 touchdowns, which is just unheard of. Do I think that'll end up happening? No, but he's well on pace to have 25 touchdowns.
He is. So my question for you is, it feels like at this point, like they are runaways with the AFC South. The Texans look like shit. The Jags still have their ups and downs, and the Titans are one of the worst teams in the entire NFL. It looks like this is just they're running away with this division. How serious are we taking the Indianapolis Colts? Because I'm almost to the point now where if they don't win a playoff game this year, this year is almost a bust.
Oh, 100%. 100%. With the way that they've been dominating some of these teams, if they don't at least win a playoff game, it's a disappointment.
Which is crazy.
And then my question to you is, what is Daniel Jones' contract with the Colts?
It's a 1 year. I could look it up here real quick, if that's fine with you.
Yeah. So my question to you is, what do you do if you're the Colts front office? This is the best quarterback play that you've gotten. Go ahead.
He's on a 1 year, $14 million deal.
Yeah. So you're the Colts front office and you get towards the end of the season. What is this conversation that you're having? Because
I already had it.
This is the best Daniel Jones that you've ever gotten. He's the healthiest that he's ever been. What does that contract look like? Does it look like...
They already said it.
What was it? I didn't.
They already came out and announced that they are going to be working on a long-term deal with Daniel Jones after the season.
Good for Daniel Jones. The way that he's played this year, he absolutely earned it. It's just so crazy that this scenario is happening again, where a quarterback has been unsuccessful at his first stop, ventures to foreign land and is getting himself a long-term multiple year deal with another team. This was something that I felt like
push back. I would definitely push back. I don't think he was unsuccessful with the Giants.
Okay, one. Well, he was a top however many pick. He was a top pick, right? Yeah. I feel like
but
one playoff
appearance
is not good for a top 10 quarterback pick.
I mean, that's more playoff wins than like a lot of guys in the NFL. I mean, like,
but how many guys? I would say that that's bad for those guys too. I think if you're a top 10 quarterback, I feel like more than one playoff berth is expected.
You're telling me in a division with the Cowboys who have been good forever, the Eagles who have been dominant like for the last like 4 years or whatever, that they have snuck out like 2 winning seasons and a playoff win out of that? Like, that's not a complete letdown.
All I'm saying is when you're drafted that high, the expectation is for you to be the guy and to completely turn around a franchise, and that didn't happen. Now,
they're a dumpster fire.
I was going to say there's obviously other factors that go into that, but like still, I think we have to hold that same standard across, because I think we've had that same conversation with Caleb Williams, where you're the number one guy and you haven't been good. So I'm just trying to keep that around for all of these top 10 quarterback picks is how I'm looking at it.
He was drafted 6th overall. I just feel like when you like think of Daniel Jones, I just want to look at his like overall record here, like real quick, if that's fine with you. I just like wouldn't like deem like Daniel Jones's career as like unsuccessful, I guess. Is that crazy?
I think a little bit. I think just because of what I was saying of like when you're the top 10 draft pick, like at quarterback, you're expected to be the guy. And he had one. I understand that the division, you don't pick the division you get drafted into, but the expectations is you come in and you're supposed to be the guy to turn things around. And one playoff berth isn't really turning it around. Not getting a second contract with that team probably isn't really turning it around.
He did.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, that's true. He did.
I just don't think I think it's insane to sit here and say that with how bad the Giants have been. I really do.
All I'm trying to carry it across is the which we've talked about it before, is like if you're drafted that high, you're expected to be the guy, and I don't think
it's really hard to win. Like we have this conversation a ton. Like it's like it's like extremely hard to win in the NFL. There's like maybe less than 5 consistent franchises across the entire NFL the last 20 years where they show up every single season. The rest of the NFL, it's a legitimate crapshoot, and you might have down years or you might have pop years, and that's really all there is to it. But there's not much consistency in the NFL across the board. And you're telling me that like in a rebuild, which I would say that it was not successful at all the entire time the Giants were in that he was with the Giants.
Okay, so that's exactly my point. You just said if it wasn't, how can you say that his career wasn't unsuccessful when you just said that the whole rebuild itself wasn't successful? Because that goes hand in hand. He's the quarterback of the team.
But how can you sit here and be like, Daniel Jones' career in New York wasn't successful when he took a team who was winning 3 football games and they got better every single year, and then the one year they go to the playoffs, they win a playoff game, and then after that he gets hurt, and then they obviously like fall off the cliff, and his career kind of never rolls back into the same because of the injury and et cetera. We just got done talking about that. Like, I feel like, and then, so like after he gets to the point, he gets to the precipice, he takes a underperforming Giants squad to the playoffs and then beats the Vikings in the playoffs. Like, that's a W.
Yeah, he had one okay year. I think the rest of it has not been what you would expect from a top 10 pick.
But like if you took every single first round quarterback, it's probably less than what, like a 30% hit rate. I think that Daniel Jones is a hit.
I'd have to look back. Maybe I'm underestimating the numbers that he did in New York, but just off the top of my head, I don't call it a success. But
you're talking about, would you consider Sam Darnold's career a success?
No.
As a top 3 pick? All right. Well, then me and you have different.
Not until he got to Seattle.
Me and you have different.
I mean, to Minnesota. Sorry.
Me and you have different opinions then on this, and we can move on because I just think you're wrong. Because I don't know how
we'll disagree on this.
I don't know. You can't sit here. I hate that when anybody ever talks about a quarterback. I'm not saying that you're doing this. Like the expectation is to be like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Like that's not the expectation. You're telling me that he's 7 years into his career and he has 1 playoff win. Like that's a lot more than like a lot of guys who play quarterback in the NFL for a long time have in their first 7 years of their playing career. Like that's just is just sheer facts and numbers.
Yeah, and I would tell you that those are not that great of playing careers.
Well, okay, whatever. I think that's ridiculous. I really do.
Well, there's got to be a middle ground between.
There's literally like it's so hard to win in the postseason. Like, so you're telling me that like until 2 years ago when Dak finally got his first playoff win, his career wasn't. Do you think Dak's playing career is a success?
I would say that Dak has had a very good decent playing career.
Well, he has 2 playoff wins in his entire career.
Yeah, but Dak's been in MVP conversations when he's been healthy and led
Dak has
10 win teams. Every time he's healthy, they win 10 games.
But Dak has had, they stink this year. And they have stunk the past few years.
They can still win 10 games this season.
No, they cannot. If they win, if they win 10 games, I'll give you 10 grand. Like they're not winning 10 games.
Deal.
So I just think that like, okay, then that's ridiculous because if you are just basing it on them and being in potential MVP conversations and like if they can win
also just playing quarterback, I think there's a significant gap in Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones.
Not this year.
Okay, yeah, not 1 year out of his entire career, but every other year.
Yes, I agree. I do. I think Dak's a far better quarterback. I do, but I also think Dak's like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Daniel Jones is about to be on his 3rd big contract since he's been in the NFL playing quarterback. Like he's a successful quarterback in the NFL. Otherwise, he wouldn't keep getting re-upped deals in the NFL.
Okay, so I'm not looking at it like monetarily because I'm just looking at it from like an on-field perspective because Kirk Cousins is getting $9 billion and from a stats and on-field perspective, do I think that Kirk Cousins is great?
Kirk Cousins' career successful?
Monetarily, yeah, but as an overall quarterback, no.
I can't have this conversation. That is preposterous. Like
I don't think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I think he's been he's had maybe 2 years as a good quarterback in the NFL. 3 years, 3 years probably.
That is preposterous. What you just said.
I'd have to look back at some of his numbers, but like I remember like 3 good years from Kirk Cousins. Realistically,
I mean, up to the point where he tore his Achilles, like the last 2 seasons. Yes, I agree with you. When Kirk turned 36 and 37 years old off of an Achilles.
He had some good years with the Vikings and
I agree
2 years with the Commanders, maybe.
He hasn't had like that great of a post, like the Atlanta run's a flop. Like he should retire, honestly, at this point. But up to that point, like he's had a great playing career. He's 83 and 75 in his career. He's not bad, and he's played for forever. He's played since 2012. Like you don't get if you are if you don't view that as a successful playing career. What do you view as a successful playing career? That
I would say probably winning a handful of playoff games, making the playoffs probably is an important part of that. And then just if you are constantly in the top 15 quarterback in the NFL, probably.
You just described Kirk Cousins.
I'd probably give it Kirk Cousins. I'd have to look at his numbers, but he probably does fit that now that I think about it. But I don't think Daniel Jones is in there.
And you just described Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones has been in that discussion 1 year, and it's this year.
Daniel Jones won a playoff game with one of the worst teams in the NFL.
He won one playoff game in seven seasons and has had 1 good year, 1.5 good years.
But
overall, that's not that great of a play. That's not that great of a career.
What I would push back on you on is, one, that's ridiculous. Anybody who's
Kirk Cousins has had, or not Kirk, Daniel Jones has had 1.5 good years.
Anybody who's in the NFL and has had re-upped on multiple max contracts is clearly playing well enough to have a good career in the NFL. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen.
I don't necessarily think that's the case with this Daniel Jones situation. He had 1 good year. He got that contract after 1 good year.
I completely disagree.
Sometimes if you're a front office, you would much rather just keep the mediocre that you have than move on to the unknown. And that's what the Giants did. That's the only reason he got that contract. They spent money on an injury-prone guy that had 1 good season.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Well, he's had more passing touchdowns in a season than Jalen Hurts. So maybe Jalen Hurts.
But this isn't about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl.
But Jalen Hurts plays the quarterback position the exact same way that Daniel Jones does, but you consider his playing career successful, but not Daniel Jones.
I think if you win a Super Bowl, that's
why did he win a Super Bowl?
Probably
why did he win a Super Bowl?
He played out of his mind
because he's on one of the most talented teams in the NFL.
He was the best player on the field in both Super Bowls that he played on.
Is he on one of the most talented teams in the NFL?
Sure, but he's the best player.
When Daniel Jones finally gets to a situation where the defense is decent and the offense is decent, how's he playing?
Then he should win a Super Bowl.
I'm just asking, how's he playing?
He's playing good.
Okay, that's all I have to say then.
He should win a Super Bowl if that's the case. Then if every quarterback that was on a good team,
not being able to distinguish the fact of how bad of a situation
I can do that. I said so many times the Giants have been terrible, but I think if you're that good of a quarterback, you make it work.
You don't. That is never
because you're not that good. If you're not that good,
there is never a situation ever across the NFL. This is why you're like acting like I pop shop. Like there's never a situation across the entire NFL where you have a quarterback who is in a bad situation be able to flourish. It's not possible.
Statistically, sometimes that happens. Yeah.
With who?
Joe Burrow just did it.
Joe Burrow has 2 of the best wide receivers to grace the field.
But their team's bad.
Does Joe Burrow have 2 of the best wide receivers to grace the field? Yes or no?
Yeah, he does, but their team is bad.
Okay, but they're not bad. The Bengals
are bad.
The Bengals are a 500 team every single season. They were a 500 team with Jake Browning. They're going to be a 500 team with Joe Flacco.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Like, what are you talking about?
We can move on. We can move on.
We're not moving on. We're still talking about this.
I've got nothing left to say about this topic. We can move on. I just don't think Daniel Jones is that good.
How are you going to sit here and say Joe Burrow just did it this past year when the year before Jake Browning went 9-8 with the same exact football team?
I'm not getting into it. I just
what happens when
Bengals
Joe
aren't
Flacco?
Good.
I just have a question. What happens when Joe Flacco this year can go 500 with the Bengals team? Are they not that good?
Yeah, they're not that good.
But if they were not that good, why are they not picking at the top 5 of the draft every single year? With backup quarterbacks playing for them?
I don't know. They're just not a good football team. I really don't think they're good.
But if they weren't a good
I watched them play, and I don't think they're good.
Why don't they pick at the top 5 of the draft then if they're not that good?
Beats me. They win enough to not be in the top 5, but they're still not a good football team. There's plenty of
brutal commentary from
that
right now.
Are there's plenty of 500 football.
There's a
500
difference
football
between
teams
being
that are bad.
awful. There's a difference
Yeah,
between being
there is. There's a
awful
difference between being awful and being bad.
average. Being average.
The Las Vegas Raiders are awful. The Bengals are bad.
No, the Bengals are average because if
They're
Joe
bad.
Burrow,
They're a
Joe
bad
Burrow,
team.
If Joe
The Jets
Burrow
are awful.
playing,
The Bengals are bad.
If Joe
the Dolphins
Burrow
are awful. The
for the
Bengals are bad. Titans awful. Bengals bad.
If the Bengals were playing Joe Burrow right now, they'd be a playoff team. Fact.
Okay. We'll never know.
Be. I mean, they would be. They started out the season, what, 4-2?
I guess we'll never know because Joe Burrow can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy, but I'm just saying they're not a bad football team.
They are. I watched them and they're bad.
Football team.
No, the Jets are an awful football team. The Bengals are a bad football team.
No, they're not. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's fine.
No, I just watched the Jets beat the Bengals.
Brother, if the Bengals,
I just watched the Jets beat the Bengals on live television last weekend. The Bengals are a bad team. They just blew a 20-point lead. They're bad.
Teams every week.
Yeah, the Bengals are a bad
every
team.
Single week. Teams beat teams.
They're bad.
Are the Eagles bad because they lost the fucking shit?
No, they're 6-2. They're 6-2, and they beat good teams.
But were they bad when they lost to the Giants? Teams beat teams every single week.
Yeah, they were bad. They were bad that day, but I've watched the Bengals be bad multiple days.
Do you think that it would be a completely different scenario if Joe Burrow was the quarterback of that team?
Completely different? No.
I disagree.
I think it would be a little different, but I don't think it would be completely different. I think they would have won against the Jets, but I don't think it's completely different.
Again, your analysis on quarterbacks suck. Every single time.
You are just way too high on so many guys that aren't good.
No, you are just too extreme because
No, I'm not. I'm not too extreme because I think there's a middle ground between Mahomes and like whoever you think the worst quarterback in the NFL is. There's a middle ground, but there's also a lot of bad in there.
In your ethos, there's 3 good quarterbacks in the NFL and everybody.
No, there's not. No, that's incorrect.
Yes, it was. That's what you did at the beginning of the season too.
I think there's more than 3.
Has your tune changed on Jordan Love at all?
Yeah, I think he's a good quarterback.
Okay, exactly.
I think there's 3 elite guys, and then I think there's probably 5 or
Jordan
6
Love's
good.
Elite.
No, he's not. There's 3 elite guys. There's 5 or 6 good guys, and then I think the rest is pretty bad.
Jordan Love's. How can you say this is what drives
because
me?
Because I watch him play.
This is the shit that my
eyes are not deceiving me.
Every single metric across the board on every single quarterback that plays says that right now is the best time that we've ever watched quarterback play in the history of the NFL. So that's wrong.
But I'm watching the games. I'm not looking at the metrics.
But what the fuck does that mean? When you watch the games every single week, these guys ball out. What I just don't understand. Every week, we have
sometimes, sometimes.
Week. I don't.
Yeah,
know. I feel bad for you. I really do.
I don't. I think that there's a. I'm standing by
because
that.
You have to sit there and watch Jalen Hurts every single
play
week.
Really well the last 2 weeks. Yeah,
don't take it out on us. Okay,
I'm not taking it. I've sat here
don't take it out on us
and gone against Jalen Hurts week in and week out.
You had to watch Drew Aller and Jalen Hurts all year. Don't take it out.
I've gone against all of these guys.
I'm just saying,
week in and week out.
Don't take it out on the public because you.
I'm not. I go against them all the time, and you know that.
And to reel this back in, because Daniel Jones has had a successful playing career. You can fuck off with that because if you don't think that, then you're a flat hater. So
that's a brutal take, but we'll keep it pushing.
Do you think Baker Mayfield's had a successful playing career?
No.
I'm done. That's ridiculous. That's disgusting.
Probably not.
You should be disgusted. That's what you should be.
He probably hasn't.
He has. He's had a great playing career, actually.
I think he's had 2 really good seasons, yeah.
Bro, you need help. You really do.
What are you talking about? He had a
Need
good
help.
season with the Browns, and he had a really good season with the Bucks last year.
No, it's
He's
fine.
playing really well this year, but
I can't believe how bad all these guys, bro. The only guys who've ever had good careers.
I think
out
Baker
of
is
this
in
crew,
one of the good quarterback group. Is in the good quarterback group.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. The only guys who have had successful playing careers is Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, and maybe Lamar Jackson.
I think Lamar's had a successful playing career.
Oh, it's impossible.
I think Jared Goff's had a successful playing career.
Well, he's had a way better one than Lamar. Based on your metrics.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I didn't say it, but sure.
Let me see something here real quick before we move on. Lamar Jackson has 3 playoff wins. Just to sort of throw that in there.
Okay.
Just to remind you.
I watch Lamar play, and he's one of the best to ever do it. So there's that piece of it too. I watched Daniel Jones.
He only has 3 playoff wins.
I watched Daniel Jones play, and that's not even close to what I see.
He's only got 2 more than Daniel Jones. Remember that.
That's okay. I watched Lamar Jackson play, and
he's
pretty good.
After this year, Daniel Jones is gonna topple that. Lamar
I hope he does.
Defenders are gonna be in
I hope he does. I hope Daniel Jones continues to play well.
I think
he's a guy that's been plagued by injuries and not living up to expectations. So I hope he gets it. Hope he can put it all together.
The contract that he ends up getting with the Colts, like for everything, is just the same contract that all of the quarterbacks who have been revitalized on second teams that they've been getting. The Geno Smith contract, the Baker Mayfield
2 years, 3 years.
And that's the 3-year, $100 million deal. Like that seems to be
with
about
the 3rd year, like option or whatever it is.
4th year would be a
4th year,
UFA or void year. But
yeah,
that just seems like right on par, right on cue for every single quarterback at this point, besides Justin Fields, who Justin Fields hasn't had a successful playing career. That's
he's
not
horrible.
a successful playing career.
Yeah, he's horrible.
Other than that, then I think that he's the only guy who hasn't gotten that re-up yet. And it looks like he's never going to get that, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, he needs to hang it up.
Well, he'll be a backup for literally 50 years. Realistically.
Yes, he will be.
So the week 8 games, are there any games that you want to talk about or anything like across the board or what? Because there's two other quarterbacks I want to talk about, and if you can't agree with this, then you need to tone it. You need to go watch a movie for the night. The first one is Cam Ward has officially been one of the worst, and hopefully this helps, because the statistics match up with this, and I pray to God your eyes match up with this too. Is that Cam Ward has been statistically and analytically the worst rookie quarterback of all time, and to 100%. Go from Will Levis, who he was a laughing stock, everybody hated him.
He was, yes, he was
not very good, to then take Cam Ward first overall in this draft, and then to have him play worse than
tough scene
Will Levis. Where do you even go from here?
Yeah, if you were the Titans, you thought that you were at the bottom of the barrel with the Will Levis quarterback experience, and unfortunately for you, the barrel just continues to get deeper. You fire your coach. You're now stuck with the worst rookie quarterback of all time. You made some offseason moves in hopes of building something around your quarterback, and it just hasn't mattered. It's just been a terrible experience for every Titans fan, coach, player, etc.
I don't even know what they did around him, to be completely honest. Like, I'm thinking about like is this crew that bad? Like, I feel like they did a decent job on the O-line. The Calvin Ridley signing he's way past his prime. Obviously, he's just not the same player as he was like in Atlanta or even Jacksonville in that matter. And I thought that the defense would be like somewhat decent just based on like names that they have, but like the L'Jarius Sneed can't stay healthy. And then they open up, like they say, oh, like everybody's available for trade except Jeffrey Simmons and was it Cam Ward?
It was those two, yeah.
They should have tried to trade Cam Ward at this point.
What is the point of keeping Jeffrey Simmons if you're the Titans?
I don't really know. I don't know. The other question that I would ask back to you on that, not to like completely switch gears, but it's another quarterback scenario that I want to talk about. There's three, and that would be like the Geno Smith situation in Vegas, where I didn't think Geno looked that bad last year, and he goes to Vegas and he's lost, and they stink and like bad. Like their skill group stinks, their offensive line stinks, their defense stinks. So my question to you in that scenario is like, what's the point of keeping Max Crosby?
Yeah, like what are these teams getting from keeping these guys when the clear next step in, I think, our eyes is like, I mean, the Titans are in it, but it kind of seems like the Raiders just need to full-fledged rebuild this thing. And
they've been doing that forever.
They've been like, well, yeah, no, I'm saying, but this was a year, I think, there was a little bit higher expectations because they were bringing in a veteran guy at quarterback, and it just hasn't even remotely panned out. So they have had Jacoby Myers has been injured and Brock Bowers has been injured, but still, for it to look this bad was not in the playbook. But like, what is the point of holding on to a Max Crosby or a Jeffrey Simmons? Like, how much are they really helping your team right now? And for the amount of draft capital that you could get for those two guys, is that feels like it would be the better option for both of these teams, where it's like, okay, our timelines aren't matching up. These guys are in their prime, maybe even downward trajectory of their prime. Why don't we try to get as much as we can for them right now? Because we're not winning shit. And I understand, like, Max Crosby wants to be there, but also, if you're a player, like, why would you just want to be stuck in that? I understand that it's not like the NBA, how we always say, where you can't just request a trade and they abide by your every wish. But like, at some point, I feel like there's got to be a conversation where it's like, hey man, like I've stuck through all of this with you guys. Like, try to get the most that you can for me at some point. 'Cause it's like just wasting your talent in one of these teams. And
I don't think a lot
they don't do that.
I think the only time
they don't. It's different.
But scenario that you want to get traded is if you're not getting a contract. That's it. Though.
That's exactly how it is in the NFL. You're 100% correct. Which is strange to me, because a game where the career span is so much shorter in the NFL, I feel like, than a lot of other sports, I would want to be playing more meaningful snaps than not, right? And if you're the Raiders, like, I feel like you would want to get capital for these guys while you still can.
You got to think of it from the perspective of Max Crosby, where he was taken in.
They gave him a shot. Yeah.
In the fourth round, he's like $100 million man, and he's a dog, and the
loyalty piece of it. I get it.
He probably has like a crazy crib in Vegas, and he probably likes living in Vegas, and like, I think there's more. Like,
yeah, but he can do that the rest of his life. Like, just go play go play a season somewhere, like make a playoff game, and you'll still have all your money. You can still have that Vegas crib. Like,
I don't know. I don't think people care. I think it's different in the NFL. I
it
think
is.
I
It
think also in the
100%
NFL
is.
too, it's just you never really know who can be good in year in and year out. We just got done talking about the Colts,
Correct.
where
That is true.
the Colts are a team has the best record in the NFL. I think, right? They're 7-1. Are they the only team with one loss? Like,
The Packers have one loss,
yeah,
but
and they have a tie.
Are the Titans and the Raiders, like, do we think that they're one player? Like,
You never know.
think, yeah, true.
You never know.
With the offseason, you can bring in guys. Yeah.
Did you have any feeling that for example, like the Colts are a really good example in this situation. Did you have any feeling that we're in week 9 and the Colts would be 7-1 and they would have 2 guys in the MVP conversation?
No, absolutely not. But when we sat here in this offseason and looked at this roster and looked at the coaching staff, wasn't there a piece of us that was like, they have good infrastructure?
Yeah, I talked you into the Raiders.
I know you did. I know
so
you
like
did.
you could do that with any football team in the NFL. You really can. Like when you
it's hindsight 2020 now.
Like if the Raiders weren't so fucking dog shit, like they might be kind of decent. But like it's just like you don't know.
So true. Couldn't have said it any better myself.
You think about like what happens with like the Texans that want like they're like famous. That's like the most famous example of this where they take Will Anderson Jr. and they take CJ Stroud and everybody in the draft was like Will Anderson Jr. is not going to be a dominant edge rusher. And everybody in the draft was like, CJ Stroud's not going to be the best quarterback in this draft. It's going to be Bryce Young. And he gets taken. He falls to the second pick and gets taken. It's crazy that like then from there on, we're looking at 3 years later. They're obviously not having the best year this year, but the past 2 seasons they've gone and won playoff games. So it's like anything, you never know what could happen. You legitimately could be one player away from being a potential contender, which I use contender probably a little bit more loosely than you do because your version of contender is probably like being up in the 4th quarter in the NFC Championship game. Mine's like being a playoff team, but I think that anything's possible.
It just sucks because I want to see these guys play more meaningful snaps, but at the same time, like my NBA brain, I have to turn it off because it's not the same in the NFL as it is in the NBA. Like these guys are not requesting a trade the first time that something goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they're not children.
No. But with that being said, like what is the question was what do these teams do? I think if you're the Titans, I think you're stuck. Like I think you are stuck with Cam Ward for I think you have to see it through at least like another full season. I think you have to get the coaching, the head coach spot figured out, and before you can fully figure out what you want to do with Cam Ward at the quarterback position. I think that is a little bit easier of a solution than the Raiders one because you just did bring in a new head coach and a new older quarterback. I mean, you could just get rid of both of them. Like that is always like the scapegoat, but yeah, the Titans I think are stuck with Cam Ward. I feel like one bad season.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. It's just sucks that happens. Obviously, the last one on this list here that it seems like everybody. I've been out on Caleb when the season started. I said I'm out on him. What shifted in the last 2 weeks where it seems like the overwhelming majority of narrative at this point is Caleb Williams doesn't happen?
I think it's because they are not winning games. I think that he's looked this exact way through the first year and a half of his career, but the reason that it didn't look so bad is because they were winning, and they were winning because their defense was turning the ball over like twice a game. I think it's been the same version of Caleb Williams the last
season and 7 games.
So, okay, that's fine. I guess. I mean, thanks. But like, why? Like, what's going on? Like, why? Like, what has shifted? Have you watched the Bears at all? Like, what has shifted in the mindset of like people to be like, yeah, Caleb's done?
I think because
people are calling.
He's making the same.
But people are legitimately calling for like Tyson Bagent to start
Because Caleb was doing the same thing last year. He's just like missing throws. He's missing open receivers. And some of that was, I think, because of just how bad the offensive game plan was. But I think the scheme is better this year, and he's still making those same like mechanical and fundamental mistakes, and they're losing. I think that's why you're seeing these people call for Tyson Bagent, and I think the reason is because like they just need Caleb to like facilitate an offense and not necessarily like try to be Superman. And it seems like he's still trying to be Superman. And I think the reason that the Tyson Bagent calls are being made are because they've seen, to be fair, they've seen Tyson Bagent in very, very few scenarios. And he's looked decent. So people just want to see the easy plays be made. And it doesn't seem like the easy plays have been made with Caleb.
I personally think that's absolutely ridiculous.
You think it's ridiculous that they're calling for Bagent or what?
It's the same scenario where people are like, you brought it up, but I heard people talking about it too. Is like, I'm not saying that you said this, but people were like talking about like the soft benching of JJ McCarthy. It's like, well, the soft benching of JJ McCarthy leads you to be starting Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Like, that's not an upgrade. It's bad. Like, you have a 22-year-old quarterback. Like, let him play football. And it's like the same scenario with like Caleb Williams. It's like, well, Caleb Williams is the first overall pick. He's 23, 24 years old. However, like, he's got to play. Like, just because you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year doesn't mean that it's a lost year. You just have to continue to let him play, develop, and grow. And then from there, we can figure some more out. And if it continues, I think like no matter what we watch play out in this course over the last like 10 years, you have to let your rookie quarterback, unless if he's like legitimately like Anthony Richardson's levels of awful where he can't complete a pass like a check down, then like that's fine. You have to move on. But like if they're competent and they could be like a 500 player, like you have to let them play out that full 5-year contract. It doesn't matter. And then from there you can adjust and see what you want to do next. But you might be sitting on a gold mine, and if he walks, he might go to a different coaching staff and fit in perfectly and develop the way that he's supposed to. And then the back half of his career, not even the back half of his career, I would call it the prime of his career, honestly, at this point, because like when you get to be like the 28 to 35 range of playing quarterback, you're probably going to be playing quarterback at the best possible like level that you can. Probably not as athletic, but like mentally, you're going to be able to do a lot more than you were to be able to do when you were like in your early and mid 20s. So
and well, I was going to say a guy like Caleb and a guy like JJ, like they're already pretty solid athletes as is. It's just like the mental side of being a quarterback that takes more time to develop when you get to the NFL. Like you're in college and your reads are so, from what it seems, are so much like less significant, and you're the best player on the field every time you step on the field in college, and you can take more chances and you can take more risks. Like you don't have the same scenario when you get to the NFL. You're not always going to be the best player on the field, and you have to be way more cerebral when it comes to reading a defense and like running an offense when you get to the NFL than when you're in college.
I guess we'll see. I think calling for that though is crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that more teams need to be aware of that, but because of how things have panned out in the NFL, it's I feel like front offices and coaching staffs are feeling pressure because they see guys like Drake May and Jaden Daniels kind of pop off like right away. And their immediate thought is like, oh my gosh, why is our guy not doing that? Is he just bad? Where the timeline for development is going to be different for every quarterback.
It's not linear.
And yeah, and some guys will reach that point right away where they get to the NFL and they get in a coaching situation where it's great and it clicks and they got it figured out. And maybe that's what happened with Jaden Daniels. We don't really know because we haven't really seen him a ton this season because he hasn't been healthy. But we saw flashes of Drake May last year be really solid. And now it's come to fruition this season where he's an MVP candidate. Maybe the timeline with Caleb's different. He's clearly a capable NFL quarterback. It's just a matter of like, is he ever going to put it all together and develop the mental side of being the quarterback in the NFL and running an offense? But it's not something that's going to happen overnight necessarily for everybody.
Yeah, give him time. All right, last thing here on my docket here. I think that it's an interesting story right now, and that is like the coaching carousel in college football. Because
oh wait, before you go to this, I want to ask you one other thing. Can you go over our cross-off list real quick? Do you have it handy?
I do probably. Let's see. Yeah.
Can you rattle off those cross-off teams for me?
Giants, Saints, Texans, Jets, Titans, Bengals, Falcons, Dolphins, Cardinals, Raiders, Browns.
Okay. And then I know last week I brought up the Commanders and the Vikings. How are we feeling about those two teams?
I just feel like it's hard to assess where a team's at halfway through the season when their backups are playing. If their starters come in and the level of play and the winning of games stays like the same, then like you're sitting there being like, yeah, they're cooked this season. I know that they have five losses on their record, but if they could catch fire, I mean, like last year, like the Commanders caught fire like towards the back half of the season, and it was game over. Same with the Vikings. Like I just feel like I'm not really ready to give up on the Vikings yet, just based on like the same scenario happened. Like last week, all of those teams played. Lions had a bye, Packers won, obviously, and then the Bears lose and the Vikings lose. So it's like nobody really pulled away in that scenario in any way, shape, or form. And Carson Wentz was like playing with like one arm.
Yeah, he was. What is the point? If you have an answer to this, where is like the line that you're drawing when it comes to these teams? Is like, are you officially waiting for McCarthy? Like, how many games in are you going to give JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels?
Once you get to like 7 losses, I feel like 7 losses, you're pretty much back fully up against the wall. Then you're going to have to go on like a fucking crazy hot streak.
I think that we can cross teams off before 7 losses, though, eh?
If they were like, if you were looking at me right here dead today saying JJ McCarthy's done for the season and Jaden Daniels is done for the season, I would look at you and say, yeah, they're cross-off teams.
But you feel better about saying yes to this question. Can JJ McCarthy lead the Vikings to the playoffs?
I would be shocked.
Okay.
I really wouldn't. I know that sounds crazy. Their team is so talented.
I disagree with you on that one, but if you were to ask me, can Jaden Daniels lead the Commanders to the playoffs? My answer would be yes, because I've seen him do it. My answer for JJ would be no, because I still don't know what I'm getting.
The only pushback on that is like they are going to be, no matter what their record finishes, they're going to be fighting an uphill battle because the NFC West has teams with like 1 or 2 losses, like the Rams, the Niners, and the Seattle Seahawks. They're really dominant. But again, like that's why we just have to, like, I feel like if the Seahawks lose 2 and the Vikings win 2, then it's like, okay, but like, you know what I mean? Like I think that like, there's not going to be realistically, I don't think that there's going to be 3 playoff teams in that division.
Which division?
I think the Packers, the Vikings,
the North.
It feels like the North. It feels like the Vikings and the Packers, or the Packers and the
Lions.
Lions have it pretty much locked up. But again, I just want to see it play out at least 2 more weeks, like at least.
Man, I think I'm ready to put pen to paper for me to cross off the Vikings.
Dude,
just because I'm
not there.
I'm not there. I'm crossing the Vikings off at this point. I just don't know what I'm getting still with JJ McCarthy. Now, if it was a scenario where like he's played more than 2 quarters of good football in the minimal time that he's played, I might have a different mindset, but I just think there's too many question marks surrounding him, and
that's why I want to watch it play. I want to watch. Play.
I get it. But I also think another point too is what you mentioned is like, excuse me, the Lions and the Packers pretty much are going to be those 2 teams that are coming from that division, I think. But I'm not. I think the funny thing is I think the Commanders are a worse football team overall than the Vikings. But I've seen Jaden Daniels, and I've seen him lead dog shit to glory, and I can't quite count him out yet. But I think the Commanders are a worse team than the Vikings right now.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right.
That's all I wanted to get at. I'm crossing the Vikings off.
Last thing here, probably. I mean, they're really on the chopping block for me. Like, I just want to watch maybe like 2 more games. The last thing I want to talk about here is because you're obviously a Penn State fan, and the coaching carousel in college football has grown interesting as of this point, and probably one of the worst possible times that Penn State could probably be looking for a head coach right now, with like the jobs that are officially like on the market and then some that are potentially looming. Like right now we obviously have like LSU, Florida, Penn State, Virginia Tech, which I think James Franklin is going to go and grab, potentially Auburn, potentially Florida State, and then
UCLA.
UCLA. I don't really put that UCLA job as one.
No, not a big one. That's just one that came to mind.
I have these tiered off here of like the big ones that I'm thinking of. I have LSU, I have Florida, I have Penn State, I do have Virginia Tech in there.
Yeah,
I have, and then for the potential ones, I have Ole Miss, Florida State, and Auburn. Just because if Lane Kiffin ends up going to LSU, then that Ole Miss job will get fired up. And then I have Arkansas in here, but I don't feel good about that one, so I just crossed it off. I don't think that's one of a good job. I don't think that's a good job.
I think people are a lot higher on the Arkansas job than you and I. I think just because it's an SEC job is the reason that it's getting the amount of love that it's been getting. Quite frankly, I don't really know why anybody would want to go to Arkansas, but if you want to, more power to you. No disrespect to the people of Arkansas, but not really a destination spot for myself personally.
Well, neither is State College, Pennsylvania, in fairness.
Very true.
Very true. My first question to you is like, the rumbles and like all of the signs are pretty much pointing to James Franklin taking the Virginia Tech job. I think that's great. I think that's a perfect fit.
100%.
I've spent a ton of time at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is sick.
It's
Blacksburg
awesome. Yeah.
is sick. Christiansburg is sick. Like the whole area around there is awesome. And I think that like they have like a real like cult like fan base, kind of like Penn State, honestly, in a way, a little bit different just because it's down south. But yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful down there. And I think that he could go in there and actually like make it legit again.
Yeah. I've been to Virginia Tech for baseball, and that campus is gorgeous. It feels like it's a really nice like college atmosphere there. Is what I felt when I was down there. That was a while ago. You've been there more recently than I, but they love football at Virginia Tech. What is it? Enter Sandman, right?
Yeah, they jump up
It
and down.
gets fired up when they do Enter Sandman. It's like one of the best like traditions in college football, I would say. But I think that James Franklin going there is a match made in heaven for Virginia Tech. I don't think that expectations are too high. I think that he's going to be able to go in there and win a lot of football games playing in the ACC. He's not going to have to win ACC titles left and right and compete for national championships right away. That's not the expectation in Virginia Tech. And I think additionally, the recruiting there he'll be very successful at too. The drive from Penn State and the recruiting pool that Penn State kind of was venturing in isn't much different than in Virginia Tech. At least in years past, it might be different depending on who they get, plus the NIL money that Penn State is now accumulating. But I love it. If that ends up being where he goes, I think that that's a perfect fit. And I think he'll bring Virginia Tech like probably towards the top 3 of the ACC.
Especially with like Clemson continuing to kind of like fall off and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah, it's pretty much just like Miami at this point. As far as like, and Georgia Tech, I won't disrespect Georgia Tech. They've been really good this year too, but those have been like the two.
But still, Georgia Tech, like it's like
all I'm saying is those have been like the two teams the last like couple years that have been atop of the ACC since Clemson's been on a couple down years, but it's pretty much been those two as two of the better teams in the ACC. And I do think that the Georgia Tech job could be up in the air. Like I think that head coach has been in conversations for other head coaching jobs. I don't know what that looks like. I believe its name's Brent Key, but I think he's a really good coach that could end up venturing elsewhere. But if not, I think Georgia Tech's going to continue to be one of the top teams in the ACC.
Is there like slight worry on your end now that all these big time jobs that are starting to pop up? Is there any worry on your end that Penn State's pool is starting to get maybe a little bit smaller?
See, that's the thing that I keep seeing on Twitter. It's like the guys that I wanted are not coming up in any of these other conversations that I've been seeing. Now, I could be very wrong, and just that part of each of these teams' Twitter hasn't been making it to my feed, but like I've wanted Hartline as the head coach for a while. Kenny Dillingham, I haven't seen him in any other discussions. Will Steen, I haven't really seen him in many discussions either. So like my number one guy is still very, very realistic of a target for Penn State. I never thought that they were going to get Lane Kiffin. That never once crossed my mind. So that doesn't even bother me. He's going to go, if he leaves Ole Miss, he wasn't even in the running to be the head coach of Penn State. So like that's the biggest name out there right now. I'm not really worried about that. None of the guys that I wanted are in discussions elsewhere realistically. And maybe maybe I should worry about that other teams aren't interested in the guys that I'm kind of interested in, but who knows?
Fair, very fair. I just think that I just thought it was obviously something to sprinkle, just because like when the LSU job like becomes available, it's almost just like, well, like that's like the job. Like that seems like the job on the market. Florida, maybe. I don't know. The Florida luster has like kind of worn off a little bit, in my opinion. Or am I tripping?
I think I think a little bit, yes. But I also think just because the other teams in Florida Florida State's been down, but like some of the other Florida teams have like kind of gotten better. Like Miami's better. I think that South Florida's better. Now, obviously, that's not like necessarily like a coaching piece of it, but from like a player standpoint too, it's like, okay, some of these teams in the state of Florida are getting better. It's like I feel like that's going to take away from the University of Florida a little bit, but I still think at the end of the day, like University of Florida is a top job, but it's not the top job. As opposed to years past, like if you were to rewind Florida to when Urban Meyer left, that would have been a top job at the time. It's not even close to that now.
Yeah, no, nowhere close. So my last question is, how hard would you crash out if Penn State hired who was the LSU?
Oh, Brian Kelly. Oh, he's frozen.
Hello?
I can hear you now. You were frozen for a second, but how hard would I crash out if they hired Brian Kelly?
Yeah.
I would actually have to stop being a fan. It's insane that you saw all the videos and all the former players that James Franklin coached tweet like, thanks for the opportunity. Like, he's a best of luck. Like, made such an impact in my life. Like, thank you for all these moments. Not a soul is saying a single thing about Brian Kelly, whether a former Notre Dame player, any former LSU players. Guys at LSU are staying because they probably didn't like him. There's guys that are committing to LSU now because he's gone. And that's just an insane. That's just disgusting that you would even bring that question to light.
I feel like it's like a non-zero possibility. I don't know. I really don't know. Like,
I think it is a zero possibility that Penn State hires Brian Kelly. Zero.
Don't say that.
I'm stamping it. I'm putting my flag on that.
You're going to be devastated when that news hits.
If I get the notification from On3 Sports that Brian Kelly was announced as the next head coach of Penn State, I have to delete all my social media, get rid of my phone, and move to the woods.
That sounds nice.
It would be better than a life with Brian Kelly as your head coach.
All right. Well, that's it. I just wanted to ask you about that. I think something obviously to monitor is time will continue to go on. And just real quick, obviously, because we have the Thursday night game, I just wanted to highlight it real quick. The Ravens are 7.5-point favorites over the Dolphins. The Dolphins are at home. Over under sitting at 50.5, but like, holy shit, that's so many points.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson's obviously back. 7.5 points. Like, I feel like almost with Lamar back, like it should be more, but this defense has been so bad. I just automatically think of like how tough the Dolphins played the Bills in that standalone Monday spot. And everybody was like a little bit shocked about it. And I think that this could be one of those scenarios where the same exact thing could happen.
Oh, you think that you don't think that the game last weekend for the Dolphins was a fool's gold game? Or you think they're just going to be up for it?
No,
because it's the Ravens.
I think that like the Ravens defense still has question marks no matter what.
For sure. I agree with you. I think
the Ravens have to be closer than 7.5 points.
I don't know. I can see a lot of people seeing that number at 7.5 and thinking about the Dolphins game last week and being like, oh yeah, you know what? They didn't look that bad. And a lot of people taking the points. And then Lamar Jackson just comes out here and runs all over them. And the Dolphins and the Ravens win by 2 touchdowns.
Better point. Way better point. Maybe. And maybe everybody's thinking what I'm thinking. Good point.
We're gonna find it. I also think the desperation with the Ravens is something that you can't fake at this point. Like, they need to win these. They need to win a game against the Dolphins more than
Ravens a cross-ups team.
No, not yet.
Keep that same energy. I mean,
I just
you're
told I
talking about
did.
JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy
I-
is the white Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I told you the reasoning behind crossing JJ McCarthy off and not crossing off Jaden Daniels. I've seen Jaden Daniels do it. I haven't seen JJ McCarthy do it. I've seen Lamar Jackson do it. Yes, you're right. Not yet. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I haven't seen it yet. I've seen Lamar do it. And if they want any chance to make the playoffs, you got to win the games against the Miami Dolphins, against the New York Jets, against the Bengals twice. Like, those are games that you just have to have.
I would completely agree with that.
So
But
I like the Ravens.
we'll watch it play
by
out.
two tutties.
I like where head's at. Great episode today. I'll cut it up and post it, and we will continue from there. It's good to be back. I will be in the Bahamas next weekend.
I can't wait to hear about it.
See ya.
Go Birds.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take vision.